Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and today we will be doing another Dungeons & Dragons race description. Today we'll be talking about the Dwarves. Yes, it's one of my more favorite races in the game. It tends to be one I don't see a lot played. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe I just haven't been having the right groups. I don't know, but I like them. I mean, they make great fighters. They tend to focus on physical combat. That's what dwarves do. I mean, they do have their whole dwarvic runes, and they just got a lot more to them. But dwarves typically are fighters, very much so. Yeah, I've actually worked out the math from the books, and about 80% of dwarves go fighter. It's a really heavy lean there. Um, yeah, really heavy. So, what does it mean to be a dwarf? Well, like I say, they do focus on physical combat, but there's a lot more to dwarves than just that. Well, they're they're short for one, which is kind of interesting. They're still considered medium, but they're short, and they're very stout. Dwarves are very sturdy. Um, Generally, people are encumbered by weight. Dwarves don't get that. However, dwarves don't move as fast as other medium creatures because they're so small. I mean, they barely fit medium. In terms of height, they really don't fit medium. It's their weight that does it. Because dwarves are have a good amount of weight to them, despite the fact that they're tiny. Um, what else? They're long-lived. Dwarves are one of the most long-lived races in the game. Um, in some ways, they live longer than gnomes. In some ways, they don't. It's actually kind of an odd one with those two. Generally, dwarves, for the first most of their life, dwarves actually do age less quickly than gnomes. It's just in the end, when they finally reach venerable, dwarves um, they die off a little bit quicker. Then that's when they start really pushing it. Is after venerable, but it's a pretty close call between who lives longer, the dwarves or the gnomes. Elves clearly have them beat, but yeah, they're a long-lived race, which well, it means they're steeped in tradition. That's what it means for a dwarf. They are very rigid. They're a very lawful bunch. Just they're steeped in tradition. They're well, there's a saying, stubborn as a dwarf, and yeah, dwarves are stubborn. They will stick to what they believe, like periods, even if what they believe is kind of stupid and it's been proven wrong. They're very stubborn. Um, they remember grudges. Yeah, dwarves hold a grudge better than most people. Um, yeah, in terms of game statistics, dwarves get uh, -2 to, I believe, Constitution. Yeah, -2 to Constitution and a +2 to, not -2 to Charisma, +2 to Constitution. I don't know what I'm thinking there. Yeah, kind of had that mixed up. Too many C's. Anyways, yeah, +2 to Constitution, -2 to Charisma. Because dwarves, well, they're not easy to get along with. Dwarves aren't a social bunch. They just they tend to live down on the ground, mining away at their stuff, and just sort of let everyone else be. They really could care less about the rest of the world. No one really likes dwarves. They don't. They're yeah, they're kind of dickish, really. Um, yeah, but dwarves they make the best craftsmen. The best craftsmen in the world are typically dwarves. If you get the Races of the Stone, um, the Races of Stone book, I can't speak today, but in there it actually has a bunch of magical forges, and every single one of them requires that you're a dwarf in order to use it. So, that shows just what it means to be a dwarf. Dwarves, yeah, they're that race, you know. They're like I say, they're stubborn as dwarves because they are dwarves. But anyways, what else is there about dwarves? Um, Let's see. I'm not sure what else there is to talk about other than, well, dwarves have beef with certain races. Like, well, most people hate orcs. Dwarves hate orcs. Dwarves. Well, that's actually one of the few things they get along with elves. Ah, that's one thing I should mention. How they get along with other races. Dwarves hate elves. Those two just don't get along. They're so different. Dwarves are so lawful and rigid, and they have all these very strict structures to them, where elves are very wild and free and one with nature. So for that reason, mostly they clash a lot. That and their regard for nature. Elves love it. Dwarves, they're just in it for the minerals underneath the earth. They could care less about the life forms on it. They're really not. They really don't care. Um, yeah, dwarves are really selfish and prone to greed. Yes, dwarves tend to be very greedy. Um, like I say, they don't like orcs, which is one thing they actually do get along with elves on, because they both just hate orcs for different reasons, but they hate orcs. The reason why dwarves hate orcs is, well, orcs, they're always crawling up their mountains and raiding their towns and everything. They're just a nuisance. They don't like that about them, which I guess is similar to why elves don't like orcs. But yeah, in terms of humans, they can get along with humans. I mean, everyone can get along with humans. Their big issue with humans, though, is humans are so short-sighted, and they don't like that. Dwarves have these steep, rich traditions. Humans, yeah, not so much. They may have some traditions, but they're nowhere. They don't go anywhere near as far back as the dwarves' traditions. Um, yeah, so they don't like humans for that. Humans also tend to be a little bit more wild and free. Um, you know, humans kind of run the gambit, which it's hard to find a human that has that dwarvish structure to them. I mean, there's some, but they're hard to find. So yeah, dwarves, they like humans well enough, but they have their issues with them. Gnomes, they actually get along fairly well with gnomes. They're both races of the mountain. Um, so yeah, they get along fairly well, but gnomes are very steeped in magic. Something the dwarves, they don't focus as heavy on. They care a lot more about combat. So that's really their beef with the gnomes. Half orcs they basically see as orcs. Half elves, well, half elves I have an odd relationship with because they're half human too. So half elves are actually really good mediators for dwarves and elves. Um, what else? Halflings, they don't really see a lot of halflings. They're like little tricky miniature humans. They don't like them much. So basically, they see them like humans, which they like for the most part, but they're not as good as humans as far as a dwarf's concerned. So if you're playing a dwarf, basically you want to be stubborn. Basically decide how your character is going to act and stick to it despite anything. What your character believes in the beginning should be very similar to what your character believes in the end. They're very static characters, so don't go um, evolving your character. Don't Your character really shouldn't be having a whole lot of development. Some, yes, but your character should be pretty well developed in the beginning and just kind of stay that way. More so than with other races for sure. Um, a dwarf might not like something, and despite overwhelming evidence, he's still probably going to not like them very much. He'll probably see reason and stop attacking them, but he's still going to dislike them to some extent. Um, but anyways, that's about all I have time for on dwarves. If there's anything you think should be added, feel free to leave it in the comments. If there's anything you want to say, really leave it in the comments. If you like the video, give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel. Got to support the channel. Anyways, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you.